Senator Collins, thank you. Secretaries, thank you for being here. Let me start with Secretary Raimondo. Welcome back. You and I have had a chance to see some aviation and aerospace activities in our country. The RAND Corporation recently testified that for each three of the aviation categories, military, commercial, and general, the United States is ahead of China and competitive with or better than the rest of the world. However, and I quote, China continues to close the gap with the United States. Secretary Raimondo, aviation and aerospace plays a critical role in both our economic and national security. In light of the China continuing closing the gap, their advances in this field, and the Chinese Communist Party's explicit intention to challenge U.S. dominance, what can policymakers do to ensure the U.S. remains a global leader in aviation, aerospace, and the innovation that is associated with both?
Thank you, Senator, for your question. There are a number of things we can do, but one thing in particular that I will point to at the Department of Commerce that we are doing is investing in tech hubs. There are regions all around the country that have expertise in aviation skills, R&D, talent, et cetera, not necessarily in New York City and San Francisco. And so by investing in tech hubs all across America and identifying areas of excellence, including in aerospace and aviation, making those investments which draw together the public sector and the private sector and research universities, that is the way we stay ahead. That is the way we stay ahead of China, investing in R&D, investing in every nook and cranny of this country to tap into the full extent of our innovation and talent, and investing in our workforce.
Thank you, Secretary. Secretary Austin, anything you would add in regard to the value of technology and capabilities in aerospace and aviation generally as a manufacturing component, as a research component of our country? What does it mean to our national defense?
First of all, I absolutely agree with the Secretary, and that's why you see us asking to invest some $146 billion in RDT&E. It's the largest request for research and development that we've ever made. And you also see us continuing to invest in our air forces. We're asking for some $60 billion plus to make sure that we maintain a dominant Air Force. And if you look at things that we're doing with respect to making sure that we maintain that edge, I think the Raider that we unveiled, B-21 Raider that we unveiled in December is clear evidence of our focus on making sure that we remain out front and we go after the capabilities that are necessary to support our warfighting concepts. So we will continue to do that. I think we're investing in the right thing, and we appreciate Congress's support.
Secretary Blinken, during your Appropriations Subcommittee hearing, I asked you about trade and particularly the updated TPP agreement that we are not a part of. And I would highlight this as well for Secretary Raimondo. Your answer, I don't mean that you were cavalier in your answer, but your answer was in part, TPP was a good agreement, but we've moved on since then. The world has changed. And I took those words and researched what many countries are saying. In fact, they're asking us to engage in this trade agreement. Countries in the South Pacific, Australia, for example, Thailand. And I just would highlight again for both of you, Secretary Raimondo and Secretary Blinken, the importance of trade. We need the relationships that perhaps you've described using diplomacy and diplomats and State Department officials and relationships. But in my view, one of the pillars that's missing in this administration's efforts to connect the rest of the world and the United States together is trade agreements in which we are not negotiating and not pursuing. And I think it's a mistake for our country's economy, and I think it's a mistake for our country's national security. The rest of the world needs to see economic benefits by being aligned. And I can tell you China does an excellent job of demonstrating, at least up front, temporarily, what an ally and supporter they are of other countries' economies.
Senator, I very much appreciate your perspective on this. Let me just say very quickly two things. First, some of the investments that we're talking about and the vehicles for those investments financed in the President's budget are actually critical to delivering what people are looking for and need in country after country around the world, and doing it in a way, as I said, that's a race to the top, not the race to the bottom that we sometimes see with investment coming from China. Second, we are very focused on putting in place and implementing the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, or IPath. We have 14 countries that have signed on to do that. It includes trade facilitation, particularly with regard to digital trade. It includes supply chain diversification and resilience. It includes work on a clean economy that many of these countries are looking for, including the financing, the development of such an economy, and it includes a pillar on combating corruption and other things that corrode the efforts to actually make trade investment work. We found great enthusiasm for that among the countries that have signed on. As I said, there are now 14, and we are working overtime to actually put that on the rails and make it work.
Mr. Secretary, China has requested to engage in that, to enter that agreement, and Great Britain has entered as well. Other countries are finding the value that I wish we would see. Thank you.